Hello everyone, my name is KelSounds, and I am kicking off another series called the Cinematic FX Sound Design Series. The theme is going to be based off of like cinematic sound, so I'll show you guys how to make brams, how to make whooshes, impacts, stuff like that. And yeah, I'm excited to get into the sound design and show you guys what we're going to be doing. Before we get into the sound design, I just want to let you guys know that kind of like the last series, I included a sample pack and then I included the Ableton project file. So I'm going to do the same thing here for Patreon subscribers. I'll include the sample pack and the presets, pretty much anything that I did inside of the project. It'll be available to download for the Patreon subscribers. So yeah, if you want to check that out, you can. But yeah, let's just go ahead and dive right into the sound design. So for this first episode, we're going to be making the Bram. And I already have some MIDI laid out here. It is set to E0. And let's go ahead and just get started. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is turn up the unison to 16. So pretty much all the way. Then I want to go ahead and modulate the detune. So I'll bring it down to maybe around here. And it's being modulated by LFO1. I'm going to set LFO1 to envelope. And I think I'm going to leave it the way it is. And as you can already hear, it sounds pretty wide and like a pretty big sound already. I'm also going to go ahead and lower down this main volume, because things are going to be getting pretty loud. One of the main audio effects that I use is distortion for this sound. So we're going to go ahead and lower that down. Then I'm going to come over here to the FX and add a distortion. Turn the drive up pretty much all the way. Kind of tweak the mix a bit. So maybe around 86%. Then I'm going to add an equalizer. Do this kind of shape and set the frequency to around, I think like 2000 kilohertz. So a little bell shape with the equalizer. Lower down the main volume. And there we go. Then I'm also going to go ahead and group this serum. And I am going to configure the pitch and turn this up to 3. So that way the pitch goes up a bit higher. I'm going to open up the macros and I'm going to configure the pitch. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to right click the pitch and set it to macro 1. I'm going to come over here to the map and open up our sidebar here, and where the minimum is for the pitch bend, I'm just going to set it to 0.50. So that way when I turn down the pitch bend, it stays in the middle instead of our Serum 2 synthesizer. And there we go. Now we got that sort of movement with the Serum. Sweet, so that is the first part of our sound. And so the next thing I want to do is add some effects to this bad boy. So I think I'm going to go ahead and go into our audio effects, grab a filter, and drag and drop onto our Serum 2 over here. And I want to set this to comb filter and morph it 100%. And set the res up all the way. I'm going to click on this filter and control group it and do a parallel processing chain to it. So something like that. And I'm also going to turn up the drive of this filter. The reason why I did this is because I want to get more of a metal sound on our FX Bram. And then kind of just tweak the frequency to the sound that I like best. And I think that sounds pretty good. I'm also going to grab a reverb, drag and drop it inside of our Serum 2 here. I'm going to Control G and set that inside of a group, and also do a parallel chain with this reverb. Come back over here to the reverb and set it to 100%. And just mess with some of the settings like the size and the decay. I'm also going to go ahead and turn up the diffuse. And I'm going to turn down the mix inside of our parallel process rack. Then I think the last thing I'm going to do here is add an EQ. Do a high pass filter of around 120 Hertz. And I'm going to add in my own sub. So I'm going to go ahead and drag another Serum 2. And just do a simple sine wave, set the randomness to 0. And it sounds pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and turn the sub down maybe a little bit. Oh, I also want to configure the pitch inside of our sub, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm also going to set this to 3, so that way the pitch is a little bit higher. I'm going to right-click the pitch and map to pitch bend for our macro knob, and open up the map settings and do the same thing that we did with our first Serum 2. I'm going to come over here to the Serum 2 pitch bend of our second, or for our sub, and set the minimum to 0.50. So that way it does the same thing that our first Serum 2 is doing. So when the pitch bend is all the way down over here in the macro knob, the pitch is set in the middle for our sub. And so now the pitch should be matched with both Serum 2 sounds. Sweet. Now this is my favorite part. I'm going to go ahead and grab a snap heap and grab a shaper. And make a little bit of a harder shape. I'm going to grab a gain as well, turn down the volume for this. Set the mix of our shaper to 100%. And the drive, I'm just going to turn up all the way, and then I'm going to dial it back down. So I like it around 11. And then for the gain, I'm going to probably turn that up a little bit. Then I'm going to grab a multipass and choose the OTT preset inside of Dynamics. It's called NOTT. Turn the gain up all the way and set the mix to about 50%. Sweet. Now the next thing I'm going to do is add a filter, or an auto filter. I'm just going to turn that off, and I might automate the frequency later. So I'm just going to have that there just in case. And then I'm going to add a reverb, and I'm going to tweak around inside of the reverb. So I think I'm going to turn on low cut for the input filter. Turn the decay up by quite a bit. And the size. Also going to turn up the diffuse. And now I'm going to automate the dry wet. Looks like our clip is a little too long. I also want to automate our pitch bend, so I'm probably going to do that. Do something like this. And then now I'm going to turn on our auto filter and modulate or automate the frequency. So I'll do something probably like this. holding Alt to bend the shape of our automation. And sweet. And from here, you can just tweak the parameters of your pitch bend, your auto filter, and even your dry wet for your reverb. And that is how I would go about making a Bram FX with Serum 2. And of course, Snap Peep and some post-processing with Ableton Audio Effects. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. And just for the timestamps, here is our final sound. Hello everyone, I hope you're enjoying the video. I just want to let you guys know that I have a Patreon. It's where I keep all my sample packs, synth presets, Ableton Racks, Ableton ALC files, Ableton project files, exclusive sound design tutorials / live streams, and any other content that I decide to release in the future. So pretty much the whole shebang. I also have a tip jar as a thank you for supporting my channel. So yeah, if you're interested in having access to all of the sounds that I use, or even having early access to videos, everything's going to be posted on my Patreon for my Patreon subscribers. And last, I also have a link to my GitHub, so if you want to go ahead and check that out, it'll be linked in the description on the homepage. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you later. Adios.